And we are back again with another episode of the Plumecast, episode number 9. Thank you guys all for stopping by, whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube. We have a bunch of stuff to get into this week. It has been less of a big news week, although there have been some pretty big game reveals. Besides that, the overall news in the video game industry has been pretty tamed, and I think that's what it's going to be like for the next couple of weeks, at least the next 2 weeks leading up until the beginning of Summer Game Fest on June 10th, and then going into E3. So we still got some great stuff to talk about, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, thank you guys again for stopping by. If you're new here, make sure to go check out my YouTube channel. I pretty much upload daily gaming news videos, particularly focusing on Xbox, and then I have this Plumecast at the end of the week where I like to talk about some of the topics I've gone over throughout the week and just a bunch of other stuff that I've missed throughout the video game industry. Also on the Plumecast, if you're new or if you've been here from the beginning, every single week I do like to drink a beer on the podcast because I love beer, and I ask you guys for suggestions, so let me know what you guys are drinking in the comments below. This week, again, I was able to find a beer from a viewer, and that viewer is King Koopa 020, and it is the beer La Fin du Monde. And I have to, if I told you that this is my first time trying this, I would be lying, because I picked up this 6-pack a couple of days ago, and I've been having a few of them throughout the week, and I have to say this is one damn good beer. So thank you very much for that suggestion. I would have probably never have thought about it or tried it if it wasn't for that suggestion. It is a very, very good beer. It's a strong beer, so it also has that added benefit. It is 9%, so I mean, you're not going to have to drink a bunch of beers to get the effects. If you're looking to have a little bit of fun, you can just have 1 or 2 of these and you're going to start feeling it a little bit at the 9%. So there's that extra benefit as well. But besides that, it tastes really good. I find with these higher alcoholic beers, like the higher percentage, they're sweeter. You get more of like a sugary taste to it, but it's really well done with this beer. I really, really do like it. So again, thank you for that suggestion. And if you haven't tried it out, La Fin du Monde, it comes from Chambly, Quebec, from Unibrew. So it's a Canadian beer, which is also another thing, being Canadian, that I'm happy to support. So cheers to everybody out there. Again, let me know what you guys are drinking in the comments below. Now, in terms of what I've been playing this week, again, it's been a very busy week, which is personal stuff. So I've been pretty much just sticking to the same stuff. Played some more MLB The Show. Was able to finish off the March to October game mode where I won a World Series with the New York Mets. And that's a really fun game mode because you pretty much, you get to pick a team. There's different sections of the teams that you get to pick. So there's like contenders and there's like people who have no chance of winning the World Series. And you pick one of those teams and then you play through key moments of the season. You do some key trades. You call up some key players, all with the goal to win a World Series. And then you can continue after you finish that season into a franchise. So with the New York Mets, I was able to win the World Series, and it's just great fun. There's a bunch of achievements with it too after you've actually done that. And I was happy to be able to finish that mode off. And then you continue, like I said, to start a franchise mode. I didn't decide to do that because I actually have a custom made team with custom made jerseys and stadium and everything that I have a franchise mode with. So I decided to just win the World Series and then go back to the franchise mode with my custom team called the Plume Land Plume. So other than that, Mass Effect Legendary, still on that. I mean, into Mass Effect 2 now. I finished the first one last week, which was a great game, into Mass Effect 2. And I think this is going to be a game, the Legendary Edition in total, that I'm going to continue to play for a couple of months, really, because Mass Effect 2 is a bigger game. There's just so much to do. I don't want to skip anything. I don't want to like miss any key side missions or key characters, and I want to take my time with it. And so I don't want to sit down for a couple of days and just rush through the main story. I did that more with Mass Effect 1, but I definitely do not want to do that with Mass Effect 2, and probably not with Mass Effect 3. So I'll continue to be diving into the Mass Effect Legendary Edition for a decently long time. And those are the 2 games that pretty much all I've been playing, and probably will continue to play Mass Effect next week and maybe jump into some Biomutant. I'm not sure yet. I do want to pick up Biomutant. It is a game that I mentioned on last week's podcast that I thought the way that that game looked for me personally could be a game of the year style of game, because it's my style of game with an action RPG, open world, crafting tons of weapons, and it just looked like a beautiful world and a beautiful environment. Unfortunately, I also mentioned I was going to wait for the reviews. Not that I generally play games off of reviews, but the reviews were mediocre, and I am going to pick it up and play it even though the reviews were mediocre, because I do want to play it for myself. A lot of people are also saying it is one of those games that you can't really listen to the reviews. You got to just jump in and try it out. And generally, I agree with that with pretty much every single game. One of the games that I had a lot of fun with, I got the worst reviews in recent memory, would be Crackdown 3. I know that wasn't the best game in the world, but I played a ton of that game and I had tons of fun with it. So I'm hoping Biomutant, when I pick it up, is going to live up to my excitement for it and just my overall wanting the reviews to be wrong for it, but we'll have to wait and see. I'll probably jump into that at some point. I may wait for it to drop in price a little bit, or I may just bite the bullet and pick it up next week to support the devs that got a lot of shit for the PlayStation 5 stuff on that. But we'll see going forward with that. Again, lots of topics to get over, nothing big hitting. I want to talk about some of the game reveals this week, like Far Cry 6, Horizon Forbidden West, and then there was also a Sonic presentation where they showed off a new Sonic game. They teased a new Sonic game, as well as we are getting a remaster, or remaster, I believe, of Sonic Colors. E3, we got the official date for Xbox, so I just wanted to talk about that. Some stuff that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully that they are going to show. And then there was a bunch of PlayStation news that was, I mean, we'll talk about it once I get into it. But let's jump in here to the very first topic. All right, so for the first topic today, I wanted to go over the 3 big game releases we got this week. So, or game announcements, not releases, but we got Far Cry 6, we got Horizon Forbidden West, and we got the 30th anniversary Sonic stream, which actually gave us 2 games to look forward to. So I'll start with that one because I am wearing my Sonic shirt, so it just seems fitting. And firstly, they showed off a remaster of Sonic Colors. Now, Sonic Colors is a game I haven't played before. I know it's a very high rated Sonic game, one of the better Sonic games out there. It originally came out on the Nintendo Wii, and now they're re-releasing it on the next generation consoles and on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch. So I think this is a great thing. I think it's a smart move by Sega, because it's definitely one of the better Sonic games out there, more critically acclaimed. I think a lot of people have very good memories with Sonic Colors. So releasing it on these consoles where you're going to get it in high definition, 4K, because obviously on the Nintendo Wii it was standard definition with higher frame rates, it really could put a good taste in people's mouth when it comes to Sonic games. So recently, Sonic, I think, have been stepping it up. I know they had an era where they were just releasing just absolute trash games, but you think about it, you got Sonic Mania that came out, which I think is an incredible Sonic game. We've had all the Sonic Racer games. You can even go back to Sonic Generations on like the Xbox 360, which was an awesome game. And then Sonic Forces. Now, Sonic Forces, a lot of people disliked that game, gave it bad reviews and everything. And I picked it up. I played through the entire thing. I had fun with it. I'll be completely honest. I didn't think Sonic Forces was that bad of a game. Yeah, it wasn't great. It was mediocre. But I don't think it was as bad as people were making it out to be. But luckily, now we have Sonic Colors Ultimate to look forward to, which it's going to be good because the original one is good, and it's just going to play even better with these updates. What else they showed off with Sonic Colors was, if you actually pick up the physical edition, you pre-order it, you get this like package, I guess. So you get a baby Sonic keychain. And I bet, like, as soon as I saw this, I went out and pre-ordered to make sure that I got this baby Sonic keychain. I don't know why. I think it's just be cool to have in like a collection or something. I'm sure it's not going to be collectible because there's probably going to be so many versions and so many of these printed, but I wanted to have it, so I went and got that. And there's also like the digital deluxe edition, which gives you a bunch of extra stuff. Now, if you're somebody wanting to play this on PC, it is going to be an Epic Games exclusive, which, I mean, I think people on PC are going to be annoyed about that because Steam is where people want to play most of their games on PC. But hey, Sonic Colors Remaster. If you're somebody like me who knows about this game but hasn't played it, it's exciting. If you're somebody who's never heard about this game, it's definitely and you're a Sonic fan, it's definitely one that you're going to want to check out. Now, besides that, they also showed off just a quick teaser at the very end of this anniversary stream, and it was for another 3D Sonic game, which, who knows what this will entail. Will it be open world? Will it be like more like a Sonic Forces style game? But what we do know, because somebody did some digging into the files, is that I believe the name of the game is going to be Sonic Rangers. You can take that for what you will. It doesn't really give us any more information on it, but it is not, if we're taking that as like the name of it, it looks like it is not Sonic Adventure 3. And I think a lot of people were hoping for another Sonic Adventure game. I mean, it could play exactly like Sonic Adventure 3 or Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. It just will have a different name, because Sonic Adventure obviously is a very nostalgic game for a lot of people, launching with the Sega Dreamcast, which was Sega's last console that they made. And it was pretty exceptional for that time when it came out. I think it was like 1999 when it dropped. The graphics looked better than a lot of stuff that we had seen before. And it was fully in like a 3D world. So that was very cool. And then the actual game itself was fun. Like, I've recently played Sonic Adventure, I think it was 1 or 2, I forget. But I recently played it on Steam on PC because I have like all the Sonic games on Steam. And even with it right now in 2021, yeah, it's aged. It doesn't age exceptionally well, but I still had a fun time with it. So if they were releasing a Sonic Adventure 3, I would be pumped. But I really hope they do something kind of out of the box with this Sonic Rangers game. It'd be so cool to be like an open world Sonic game where you get to explore and you have different abilities, and they have like cool combat that you can do with Sonic. But we'll have to wait and see more on that. Obviously, it's supposed to be coming out in 2022, so I'm sure we'll be seeing something from it relatively soon in the next couple of months, maybe the beginning of next year. We'll have to wait and see with everything going on. Now, moving on here to the next game, it is Far Cry 6, which actually just was revealed. And I mean, it looks like another great Far Cry game. I mean, the action they showed off in the trailer, the open world, all that kind of stuff. If you're a Far Cry fan, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Graphically, it looked very good in terms of the world itself, but it was interesting what they did with the graphics. As you can tell, they kind of reduced the character models and focused more on the world. And maybe one of the reasons they are doing that is because this is going to be a cross-generational game, and they do not want to abandon the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. And they kind of mentioned that here. So there was an interview with the Video Game Chronicles and David Grivell, who is the lead gameplay designer. And they were asking about the expectations for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And the response here was, what I can say, and I can't go into so much detail about the specs or things like that, is that both on the previous generation and the Xbox Series and PS5 generations, the game is running fine. Now, that's important because we saw what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. That was the main thing that held the game back. So I think that may be disappointing for some people that it's cross-generational, that the game is running fine on both, I guess, because it means that it's not like pushing the next generation consoles fully. But at the end of the day, if it's still a great game and it still looks good, I mean, it is what it is. More people get to play the game, and that's always a good thing. And you could see in the trailer itself that, like, yeah, the game looks awesome, but some of these character models were interesting, especially when they had the cutscenes. Like, it did not look like next generation player models, and maybe that has to do with the fact that it is cross generational as to why it's going to be like that. But that was, I mean, oh, this is actually really cool if you're watching on YouTube, that record player weapon. So it looks like they're going to have some pretty interesting weapons in the game. But it's not all bad news when it comes to the cross-generational thing, because they are saying that the game is going to run at 60 FPS and in 4K, which again is a great thing. You're going to want to have that 60 FPS with a Far Cry game. I mean, we recently saw the FPS boost to the Far Cry games, as I think it was like last month or something, I played through Far Cry 4 at 60 FPS with the FPS boost, and it was just such a better experience. I actually went back and turned off the FPS boost and then turned it on, and it was like night and day. So 60 FPS Far Cry, you'll never want to play Far Cry again unless it's in 60 frames per second. And they mentioned here, like I said, 4K 60 frames per second as well. On top of that, it is going to be the biggest world in Far Cry ever. So the location is the island of Yara, And they say here that the biggest thing for us was that it was the first time we've built an entire country. What that means is that we needed new biomes and environments that we've never had before. The best example is the main city of Esperanza. It's the first time we've brought such a big urban environment to a Far Cry game. So it was interesting in the sense of how we adapt the gameplay to this kind of environment. The island itself is bigger than any map we've ever done, which in itself doesn't mean much, because if it's empty, then it's meaningless. That's why it was important to us to make sure that you have plenty of content, and the right content too. So different types of activities, missions, and sometimes mini games, even like you saw in the video. You can play dominoes in the guerrilla camps, for example. So, I mean, that's all exciting news. It's going to be the biggest world. They're going to have different biomes. So you're going to have different environments depending on where you go on the map, and there's going to be tons to do. So overall, Far Cry 6 looks awesome. It is a game I'm going to be picking up for sure and playing through. I am very excited for it. I'm not a huge Far Cry veteran. I mean, I've played Far Cry 3, 4, and I think Far Cry 2. So I guess I'm sort of a veteran. I don't know. But I haven't played Far Cry 5 yet. And I have to play Far Cry 5 before this game comes out in October. But let me know if you guys are excited for Far Cry 6. Let me know which Far Cry was your favorite. I really enjoyed 4, and a lot of people say that they like 4 better than 5, but let me know which one you guys like more. And then finally, we have here probably the biggest reveal and showcase that we got this week, and it was Horizon Forbidden West. Now, PlayStation, when they show off a game, it always goes trending, and it always gets like insane amount of views. I think Horizon Forbidden West was the highest watched state of play that they've had. And I mean, they did not disappoint. This game looks incredible. Like, it looks so good. The graphics, the transitions. One of the coolest things I saw that I liked for this reveal was the transition from ground or above water to underwater. Like, it just looks completely seamless, and graphically looks incredible. Now, I'll be completely honest, I never played the first Horizon. I actually have the physical version of it. I just never got around to it. So yes, watching this trailer, I thought the game looked absolutely incredible, and a game that I would be interested in playing, but I wasn't overly excited because I don't know the lore. I don't know what it's about, and it's the second iteration of the game. But I'll admit, like, it looks really, really good. One thing people are continuously talking about here is it wasn't 30 frames per second. Now, does that mean that this game is going to come out and be a 30 FPS game? I think, well, it's a cross-generational game, so on the PS4, yes. But on the PlayStation 5, I think there will be 2 like game modes. Like, there'll be a performance, and then there'll be a visual fidelity mode. Now, will the visual fidelity mode be 60 FPS with just lower, will the visual fidelity mode be 30 FPS? Sorry, I'm getting confused. 30 FPS and just crazy highest end visual fidelity, and then the performance mode will be 60 FPS with the graphic settings lowered a bit. I'm thinking that's what they'll do, because they show off the trailer in 30 FPS, and generally when they say this is running on the PlayStation 5, so if they were able to show this game with these graphics at 60 FPS, I don't see why they wouldn't do that for the trailer. It doesn't really make much sense. Like, people are saying it's because it's streaming, but I mean, like, I stream games at 60 FPS, no problem. And it was obviously not in 4K when they were doing their initial stream. So I don't know. And then when you go into the actual trailer after it has been uploaded, it goes up to 4K, but it's still not 60 frames per second. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to have 2 game modes, 30 FPS, really crazy graphics, and they're going to have 60 FPS and lower graphics. And it's kind of similar what they did with Miles Morales. Now, when it comes to Miles Morales, yeah, the game looked great in visual fidelity mode. Like, it still looked great in the other mode, but it looked incredible in the visual fidelity mode, but you couldn't play it because you would go from 60 FPS Miles Morales to 30 FPS Miles Morales with like crazy ray tracing, or with ray tracing. I don't know how crazy it was, but with ray tracing. And it was just like, it wasn't fun. when you went from to the visual fidelity mode after playing in 60 FPS. It was just like so jarring. And I even asked my friends who were playing Miles Morales what they thought about it going from 30 to 60, and they're like, yeah, it looks great, but I can't play in 30 FPS after playing in that performance mode. And I think the majority of people are going to be like that once this game comes out, because yeah, graphically it's great to have both modes, but how many people are going to be playing Horizon Forbidden West in a 30 FPS mode if the 60 FPS mode is available? I hope they have those modes available. I honestly do. I hope it isn't just these graphics at 30 FPS when it releases. I don't see them doing that because as we know, frame rates is the way to go this generation. And when you don't have the 60 frames per second, a lot of people get upset with that. But besides that, I mean, the game looks great. The action looks fun. Definitely a game I'm going to want to check out when it is released. What's interesting is that they didn't give us a release date. They said it's coming soon. It's supposed to release in 2021. They gave us this 14-minute video, but we'll have to wait and see it. I mean, if it was going to, I don't get it. Like, this is the one thing I don't understand. If this game was going to come out in 2021, we're almost in June, and they're showing off 14 minutes of gameplay, why wouldn't they give us a release date unless they are still kind of determining if they'll have it finished this year? That's all I can think about. I don't see why they would wait, or maybe they're going to have like their own E3 style thing where they're going to give the release date, but it doesn't make sense to me. Like, what's the point of waiting of giving a release date? This is number 7 trending. It's like the most viewed state of play. If they would have dropped the release date 2021 at the end of the video, it would have been insane, would have been just as big as if they were to give this later on throughout the year. So I'm thinking it may not make it out for 2021, but we'll have to wait and see. It's looking good. It's looking like it could. I just don't know why they wouldn't give us a release date. But yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say about that. 3 big game announcements this week. That was like the majority of the big news we got. And hey, all 3 games I'm super excited for, and I'm going to want to play every single one of them. So that is always good. Let me know in the comments below which ones you want to play. Let me know if you are somebody, if you're only on Xbox, if this trailer of Horizon Forbidden West has you enticed, you maybe potentially want to pick up a PlayStation 5 to play it. All right, and moving on here to a PlayStation topic that isn't very good and kind of frustrating as somebody who loves the video game industry and just wants to see people have the ability to play on the consoles that they like and play with their friends. So Borderlands 3 is now going to be cross-play, but they say here that they are forced to block crossplay on the PS5 and the PlayStation 4s. Now, Randy Pitchford tweeted this out, and he tweeted out, good news or bad news first. Good news, an update for Borderlands 3 has been prepared for release that includes full cross-play support across all platforms. Bad news, for certification, we have been required by the publisher to remove cross-play support for PlayStation consoles. Now, this isn't anything new, but I thought we were past this. I really did think we were past this, so seeing this is very disappointing. So if you remember, I don't forget the year, I don't have it on top of my head, but way back when crossplay was starting to come in. So Xbox, I think, initiated crossplay between consoles and between console and PC with like Minecraft and like Fortnite and like free to play games and stuff. And PlayStation did not want to really participate in crossplay. And then we saw during the Epic versus Apple case where stuff came out, documents came out showing the agreement and the pay structure that PlayStation had put in place for getting royalties if they were going to implement crossplay, basically saying that they believe that through the PlayStation Network, it brought the bulk of gamers to games. And if this was the case, game like publishers like 2K for Borderlands or Epic for Fortnite would have to pay PlayStation a certain royalty if a certain amount of gamers, or if like a certain percentage of the gamers who are playing with these crossplay games were coming from the PlayStation Network. So that led to people thinking that the reason why crossplay was blocked was because for Fortnite for a little while before they finally gave in was because Epic did not want to pay the royalties, and it wasn't because of the first excuse, you can say, that PlayStation had mentioned for blocking crossplay, which was they wanted to protect their players, which was a bogus excuse. So we're seeing it again here. We're seeing it again here with Borderlands 3, that Sony is blocking crossplay. Now, obviously, we're not going to know like full confirmation that it's because Gearbox and 2K did not want to pay the royalty fees to Sony, and that's why there is no crossplay between PlayStation and Xbox. But I mean, it isn't hard to enable crossplay from what I understand. It's literally just hitting a switch and everyone can start playing together through the networks. So you can take that for what you will. It's probably the reason, though, at the end of the day. And it's annoying. It's frustrating for somebody like me or just anyone out there. This isn't something that people should be happy about. This is something that, like, if you're on PlayStation, you should be upset about this. You shouldn't be thinking that the PlayStation network and the PlayStation platform is so prestigious that you will never want to play with anybody else on a different network. Like, you're going to have friends on Xbox, you're going to have friends on PC that you're not going to be able to play with, and that sucks. So, I mean, this isn't anything new. I thought we were past it. I thought because of those leaked documents and because of the backlash when Sony was initially blocking crossplay for games like Fortnite, I didn't think they were going to want to do that again. I didn't think they were going to want to go down that PR boat or that PR stream, whatever you want to say again. But it seems like they do from the outside looking. That's what it looks like. Now, what I also find is very interesting, and I may be looking way too much into this, you guys may think I'm crazy for connecting these dots, is that this announcement from Randy Pitchford and for Borderlands 3 came out on May 27th, which was, yeah, May 27th, which was the same day that they were showing off Horizon Forbidden West. And if you remember to when all of the news came out about the real reason why, with the Epic versus Apple case, why PlayStation was not blocking crossplay, on that day that news came out, it was the same day that Jim Ryan put out this random announcement about a partnership with Discord and gave us no information, so that this partnership was going to be coming in 2022. It was something that, like, the partnership, there was no information. It wasn't really anything to be excited about, but because it was Discord and we know that there were talks that Discord was looking to be purchased and they decided not to be purchased and that Microsoft was in those talks and everything, people got excited for it. And if you read the actual announcement, there was nothing there for an announcement for something that's not a game or anything really like substantial coming, but something that's going to be coming way off in the future. And people were blowing it up on social media, and it really kind of took over the headline that I think was more important, which was the reason why PlayStation was blocking crossplay. And the same thing is happening here, as this came out on the same day that Horizon Forbidden West was shown. And obviously Horizon Forbidden West looks incredible, so that completely just like flushed out any news about the Borderlands 3 being blocked for crossplay on PlayStation. And I just keep thinking that it's strategic marketing PR stuff. They know that these things are going to come out about them, and they strategically announce and show things off on those days where there could be a lot of backlash and negative PR. And I have to say, I could be crazy and there may not be any correlation at all. I'm willing to admit that. But if there is correlation, Jim Ryan is a master at what he does, a master marketer. Like, I've said this in previous podcasts and previous videos, he may not be in touch with gamers. He may not be a gamer at heart, but he is a brilliant businessman and a brilliant marketer for what he does. And I'll give him kudos for that. But it's just unfortunate that we're still going down this road with the crossplay stuff because PlayStation wants to get royalties. But hey, good for Gearbox and 2K for, I guess, not giving into it and paying them. And maybe if more people don't give into it and don't pay them royalties for crossplay, and they start losing out and they start to see that, hey, it's probably better just to enable it for PR, maybe for getting more people to pick it up on PlayStation consoles because they know they can play with their friends rather than going out and purchasing it on a different platform because they know it's blocked, they may change their mind on this. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Are you fed up with with crossplay being blocked by Sony. And if you do you think my theory about like bad PR announcements coming out, Sony knowing about them and then putting out something very positive on that same day to kind of drown it out has any validity, or if you just think I'm a nut? But let me know in the comments below. All right, now jumping on here to the confirmation that we got about Xbox and E3 that the show is going to be on June 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're busy at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, don't be busy. Come and watch the Xbox show because I'm going to be streaming it. I'm actually going to be streaming all of E3, so make sure to stop by the channel to just hang out and watch the shows with me because I think it will be a lot of fun, as this E3 has so much hype around it, especially with the Xbox show. But it's great now that we have a confirmation and know that we can expect something on that date. So this E3 for Xbox, I think, is very important. I think it is probably the most important E3 in the history of Xbox. And you may say to yourself, well, isn't every E3 the most important E3 in the history of Xbox? No, like this one, I think, is above and beyond anything else for a couple of reasons. One, the Xbox One last generation was a disappointment for a lot of people, for Xbox, for what they were trying to do, at least in the first half of that generation. When they came out with the Xbox One X, I thought that was an incredible console, much better than the PlayStation 4 Pro. And then they started rolling out Xbox Game Pass with it, and it was great. In 2017, you really started to see the turnaround of Xbox to where we are today. Two, this is going to be the first E3 where Xbox has as many studios as they have, specifically having Bethesda and all of those first-party studios. And it's going to be the first real show where we are going to be able to see what Xbox has in store for us with Bethesda and those groups of studios under them. And four, they need to just get that narrative out of the, like, gone, even though it's a stupid narrative because it's false right now. But really get that narrative out there that Xbox has no games, no first-party games for people to look forward to that are coming out. And by that, when I say that, I mean they need to give us Halo Infinite, obviously. It has to come out in 2021. If it doesn't, it will be a big disappointment. I was disappointed when they delayed it from the launch of the Series X, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I was disappointed more in the fact that you're not going to get that launch of a new console with a Halo game and just have that like nostalgic experience, right? But it wasn't that big of a deal because of where you were in the console generation, the release of new consoles. There's always a big lag of titles, and with Game Pass, there was so much to play. So you were never sitting there thinking, oh, I have nothing to play on this brand new Xbox that I have, because of how good Game Pass was, how they were upgrading backwards compatible games and just giving us the ability to experience either games we haven't played before or games we have played before, but just in such a better way. So it wasn't a big deal. But I think Halo Infinite, if it gets delayed again, will be a bigger deal because of the hype leading up to it, because of the fact it already got delayed, and because we still haven't gotten one big first party game from Xbox yet. So they need to show off Halo. They need to give us the whole multiplayer deep dive and let us know what we're going to be expecting for multiplayer, and then give us a beautiful campaign trailer with like upgraded graphics based off of what everybody was complaining about last year. And I'm going to reiterate that I was not one of those people complaining about the Halo Infinite trailer when they first showed it off. I thought the game looked fun as hell. I was ready to just jump in right away. People were just, you know, complaining about graphics. They saw Craig. I think a lot of it honestly is fake outrage. I have a hard time like going on social media, seeing all the outrage and believing any of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think people just like to be angry because they see all of the people that they follow and all the influencers that they follow. Well, if they're angry, I got to be angry too. Like, I honestly feel a bit like a lot of people just follow. So anyways, that's besides the point. I could go into a whole other podcast talking about that kind of stuff, but they got to just like shut everybody up with the graphics about Halo. And I think they will. I mean, we've seen the Halo waypoints. We've seen how much the game has improved graphically and how good it already looks. And so I think they'll blow it out of the water when it comes to that. And even in that E3 post where they showed off the date of the conference, they said that there are going to be games, pluralized, that they're going to talk about that are going to be coming this year and beyond. So there's going to be at least one more first-party game that they're going to show off at E3. That's my prediction. I'm guessing it's Forza Horizon 5 because of all the rumors that have been coming out and people saying it's dropping in September with the Hot Wheels cars, with the Mexico-looking background on those Hot Wheels cars, and generally Hot Wheels cars drop when Forza Horizon drops. And I mean, that is awesome because Forza is a huge series. Forza Horizon 4 is a ton of fun. If they release Forza Horizon 5 this year, it will be very big for Xbox and for their first party releases. No matter what people say when they come and they say, oh, Xbox only has Gears, Halo, and Forza. Yeah, well, Gears, Halo, and Forza are massive franchises, and when they release a new title in those series, they do very well. So they got to show off at least one more game. And I'm predicting it's going to be Forza Horizon 5, but I also am predicting that there's going to be a third game that comes out relatively soon. I don't know if it's going to be early 2022 or if it's going to be in this holiday season, but I think there will be something else. I could be wrong on that, but the thing that always comes back to me is what Jason Ronald mentioned when he was on the Iron Lords podcast, when they just asked him what game he was most excited for in 2021. And he said it's a game that has not been announced yet. So he could have been referring to Forza, but I don't know. I have this feeling that he's referring to something else, and I'm hoping they do that. So they got to show off a strong first-party release in 2021, and I think Halo and Forza alone is strong for June to December. I think that's a good lineup. Those two games will be enough. But then on top of that, they need to go over the Bethesda studios and the other first-party Xbox game studios and give us some sort of like roadmap or inclination as to what is going on with some of these games that we're looking forward to. Like, even if it's just like this game will be out in, like, it's in development and it's doing well, like anything like that, like Perfect Dark, right? Like Perfect Dark is a game that I think is gonna, tons of people are excited for. I mean, it's gonna have a lot of hype around it. And I'm hoping that they maybe mention it. I mean, they may not, but I'm hoping that they give us maybe some sort of roadmap as to when that comes. Starfield, obviously, like they have to show Starfield. If they don't show Starfield, I'll be shocked if they don't show Starfield. Whether that Starfield comes out in 2022 or 2020, it doesn't matter. Like when it comes out, they have to show it because it's a game that's been in development for almost 6 years now, 5 or 6 years, I believe. And everyone's debating on when this game is going to come out. And everyone's hyped for it, but nobody actually knows what it is. So they have to show it. They got to build that anticipation for the game. They got to show some other Bethesda titles that are in the works, talk about them. Maybe Wolfenstein 3, maybe even Elder Scrolls, because they talked about Elder Scrolls, what was it, 2019, I believe, where they showed the splash page of Elder Scrolls 6. I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe they'll talk about Elder Scrolls 6 and give us insight into that. Maybe another Fallout game. Maybe Indiana Jones. I don't know. But they need to show off and give excitement for the future, for games to come out in 2022, 2023. And then the final thing they need to do, I think, is really just kind of like show us more stuff coming to Game Pass. Show us more stuff coming to backwards compatibility and the FPS booth, and just to continue to double down on the great work they are doing with the quality of life features that are currently there on the Xbox Series X and S, and give people something to play, or at least like the idea that yes, these games are coming out in fall of 2021, like the big games, and beyond, but hey, you can go right now, tomorrow, launch your Xbox Series X and S and get into Game Pass and play this slate of games that are coming in June and July. And then you can play this slate of games that are coming with FPS boost right now, right? So people are excited to want to go on and turn their console right after the show and jump into other stuff that's new. I mean, it's going to be a massive show. Everyone's going to be watching. I said this in my video. Everybody is going to be watching the Xbox event. All the Sony ponies are going to be watching the Xbox event. Every single one of them is going to tune in, praying that Xbox fails. You can guarantee that. And then you're going to have people like fans like me who are going to be tuning in, just excited to see what they're going to show with full confidence that they're going to knock it out of the park. And then you're going to have the people that are just, hey, I like video games. Let's see what's going on. And it's going to be a fun event because everyone's going to be talking about it. I think like out of all of the events Xbox has done, the previous biggest one was when they did like that one in June or July, just before the release of the Series X. And I thought they did a great job. But this one I think is going to be like the biggest they've ever had. And I know people are saying temper your expectations and ground your expectations about these events because games are in the works. They're coming. There's COVID. There's all those things. And maybe not everything is going to be ready to show off. But I just think that like they have to build that excitement and that anticipation where people are coming out of that show and saying, wow, I need to go and get into the Xbox ecosystem right now because there's stuff to play on Game Pass. And then there's Halo coming in the fall. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think about E3. Let me know what you want to see shown off at the event on June 13th. Okay, now moving on here to a topic involving Nintendo. Yeah, I know, Nintendo. I don't talk about too much Nintendo stuff on my channel, although I do play my Nintendo Switch. I do enjoy Nintendo games a lot. So like Legend of Zelda is probably one of my favorite franchises. Obviously all the Super Mario games. Donkey Kong Country on the SNES was like one of my favorite games of all time. But anyways, all that aside, I want to talk about this because the Nintendo Switch Pro is something that has been in the rumors for such a long time, and it looks like we're really getting a substantiated good report that it is going to be coming, and it's going to be coming relatively soon, and it's going to be announced even sooner. So this was all broken by Bloomberg, and this is an article here I'm reading from Forbes, and they're saying here that the Nintendo Switch Pro will be arriving in September or October of this year, and that Nintendo is spooling up manufacturing for it this summer, even though there's a parts shortage in the wake of the pandemic. And they also said that Nintendo will announce the Switch Pro before E3 in mid-June in order to give third-party developers the freedom to announce their projects that are coming to the console and to allow Nintendo to focus on first-party offerings during E3 itself. Eurogamer subsequently confirmed this part of the reporting. So that is super interesting because I got my Nintendo Switch that I have right now day one. So it's still like the original Nintendo Switch, and it's lasted me. It's a great device. It's a great console. It's not my premier place to play. Obviously, my premier place to play is on the Xbox Series X, but it is good for what it is. But I do believe that they do need an upgrade to the Nintendo Switch, and they've been rumoring the Nintendo Switch Pro for so long now. It's 4 years into the life of the first Nintendo Switch, so this isn't a shock that they would be looking to upgrade it from like a consumer's perspective on the actual technology of it. From a sales perspective, I mean, the Nintendo Switch is still selling like crazy. They have no reason to actually update it. People are still going to go out and buy a Nintendo Switch like all the time, everywhere, the Nintendo Switch Lite and everything. So from that perspective, there's no reason. But I think they're wanting to do this in order to give just developers like more raw power to work with when making games for the Nintendo Switch. And they're saying here that it's going to be priced higher than $299, and it is going to have, or previous rumors have said it's going to be priced higher than $299, and it's going to have the ability to render at 4K when in docked mode. Obviously right now the Nintendo Switch can't render at 4K, so I think that will be a big upgrade to the Switch Pro, and I'm thinking it's going to be at least $100 more than the current Nintendo Switch, if not even maybe like $150 more, depending as well as the actual screen that is going to be coming onto the Nintendo Switch. So that's exciting. They say they're going to be announcing it before E3. I mean, we're May 28th. E3 starts in what, like 15 days or so? So the announcement may be coming like next week. So definitely keep your eyes out on that. And I'm excited because if they do announce a Nintendo Switch Pro, like I'm going to buy one. Like I'm going to try to pick one up. It's going to be very hard to get with the chip shortage and everything that's going on. But I'm going to pick one up and just see what it's all about. And I may talk about it on this channel if it's cool. Let me know if that's anything you guys would be interested in. I know this is mainly like an Xbox centric channel. Xbox is my main platform, my platform of preference for sure, but I definitely play on everything, and a Nintendo Switch Pro I think would be cool to kind of show off and talk about. But it'll be interesting to see what they do, if it allows third parties to like make games more easier for the PS5, the series, and then the Nintendo Switch Pro. I mean, that's a great thing, because obviously right now the original Nintendo Switch, being 4 years old, is very underpowered. I mean, when it came out, it was already weaker than anything we were going to see with these next generation consoles by a long shot. So I think that they are seeing that, and they want to make sure that they at least have something in place going forward for the next 4 to 5 years that will be able to push the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch brand and keep it alongside the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. So we'll keep our eyes open on that one, and hopefully there is actually an announcement soon, and these rumors are true, because we've seen the Nintendo Switch Pro rumors over and over and over again, and then nothing ever happens. This one seems a little bit more legit, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments below if you have a Nintendo Switch, if you like the Nintendo Switch, and if you would be going out and picking up a Nintendo Switch Pro if they were to announce it. Okay, so to finish off today's show, I want to talk about this report here that Sony is telling investors that they're going to be putting more games onto PC, and that the next big game that will be making its way onto PC will be Uncharted 4. Now, this is not something that I'm like surprised about at all. When Horizon Zero Dawn came onto PC, I was not surprised. There were leaks and rumors that that was coming. I actually made a video talking about it and saying that it is going to happen, and people thought I was crazy, and that the PlayStation platform was like too prestigious for this to happen. It's such an absurd thing to think about, because Sony wants to do what will make them the most money, right? That's their goal. How can we make the most money? And they were talking to investors, and they were talking about the ways that they are making more money, kind of like, I guess, diversifying beyond just releasing the PlayStation, putting exclusive games on the platform, then locking people to that platform. And they're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. And Horizon Zero Dawn, the ROI, the return on investment for that game after coming to PC, was up 250%. Not only that, they gained more fans, I guess. They call them fans, but people who are playing their PlayStation games from different geographical countries like China, Russia, and India, where typically people in these countries play games on PC. Makes a lot of sense, right? And then recently we just saw that Days Gone came onto PC, so it'll be very interesting to see the ROI on that. And the next game coming is going to be Uncharted 4. Now, this is going to be the biggest of them all, because I think Uncharted 4, or the Uncharted brand at least, is the most recognizable when it comes to these three games, as well as the most recognizable when you're relating it to PlayStation. So I think that's going to be a very big thing. And they say that they're going to plan on bringing more games over to PC, obviously beyond this. And this isn't surprising. This is something that we've seen coming. It is going to continue to come. And my prediction is that more newer games are going to be coming from Sony and make their way on PC in a shorter period of time, or maybe even at the same time as they release on PlayStation. So basically, they're looking at what Xbox is doing, in my opinion, and they're seeing how successful they have been with putting their games on multiple platforms and having Xbox Game Pass and allowing people to play wherever they want. And the return on investment for that has been probably very, very good. They're probably also looking at third parties who are putting their games on Xbox Game Pass or on subscription services, making money off of those deals and still making a ton of money by selling their games full price on other platforms. It's a win-win situation when you put your games onto multiple platforms. We have been in an era of video games for so long where we have been told that exclusives are the only thing that sell consoles. They are the important thing, and that companies need to have the most amazing exclusives and lock you to their platform in order for those consoles to be successful. We are now entering an era where you can take that narrative and kind of throw it away, as it isn't exactly true. Yes, first-party games, great first-party games sell consoles. Like, we're going to continue to see Horizon Forbidden West come out and sell PS5s. The next Spider-Man is going to come out and sell PS5s. Next Uncharted is going to come out and sell PS5s. Yes, that's a fact. That's going to happen. However, Sony is going to make a ton more money if not only do they put these great exclusives out on the PlayStation platform, but then also release them on PC, because you're going to have people still running out to buy PlayStations. On top of that, you're going to have people purchasing these games through a digital storefront like Steam, Epic Games, whatever, and then giving at full price and giving Sony more money through those means. And I mean, people tend to think that if you do that, it affects console sales. And we've already been proven pretty much since the release of the Xbox Series X and S that that isn't true. If putting your games on multiple platforms affected console sales so much, the Xbox Series X and S would not be sold out everywhere and will continue to sell out every time there is a shipment and there's a batch of units that come up on digital storefronts or physically in stores. It's just going to continue to sell out because these consoles are still a very massive gateway of how people want to play and experience their games. As well, you are not spending like $2,500 to build a PC to be able to handle these next generation games. I think people forget that like a console isn't just there as like a way or as like an input to games. It's like kind of like a culture in a sense. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it is kind of like a culture. A lot of people like playing games by sitting back on a couch with a controller in their hand, just hitting the power button and then jumping into a game. A lot of people don't want to have to deal with the PC, and we're seeing this being proven as truth as these consoles sell out. And I honestly believe that if PlayStation were to put day and date, the next God of War, the next Horizon, the next Spider-Man, the next Uncharted, release it on the PlayStation and release it on the PC, they will still sell bonkers on the PC and then make even more money than they would have made if just locking it to the PlayStation, because people are going to be buying it full price on PC. And I think that they know that as well. They're just kind of slowly easing their way in because honestly, the fan base is rabid for PlayStation. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to be so pissed off for stupid reasons. Like it's just like, it's absurd. It's dumb. It makes no sense because they're going to think that like PlayStation betrayed them when they put their games onto another platform, which is absurd to me, because at the end of the day, the fan base and the way that they think about these things, it all comes down to marketing. And I think Jim Ryan's sitting back and thinking, well, we can't just do it right away because it will be a PR mess and we don't want to deal with that. So we'll do it slowly. We will implement these games slowly over time, or by the time we're releasing it almost at the same time as we release it on PlayStation, they won't even notice. It's kind of like, I think this happened with like eBay or something. I heard this story where eBay, they wanted to implement a bunch of changes on the website, and then they put out these changes right away and people got upset. So they took it away and they went back to the old version of eBay. And then after that, they implemented these changes slowly over time, over a long period of time. But that by the end of it, all the initial changes that they had put out and then taken away were all there, and nobody complained and nobody noticed because they did it over a long period of time. And I think Sony's kind of doing that right now. And people listening to this may think I'm crazy, may think I'm wrong, but you won't know if I'm right for a couple of years, obviously. But I think that's what they're doing. And I think they see that when they see an ROI of 250% plus, right? On a game that, when did Horizon Zero Dawn come out? 2016? I don't know, 2017? I'm not sure. They see that now in 2020, 2021, after a release on PC. You can't deny that putting your games on PC as well as locking them to your console, to the PlayStation console, is like the smart move business-wise. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very strong on this opinion for this. I think it's going to happen. Like, I full-heartedly think it's going to happen, and I could be wrong. But let me know what you guys think about this. If you think eventually Sony's going to start releasing their first-party games on PC at the same time that they come out on PlayStation. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Another great, fun show. I had a great time talking about all of these topics. As always, let me know what you think about everything in the comments below. Make sure to tune into my channel, as I do pretty much upload weekly. I take off Saturday uploads. Sometimes I upload, sometimes I don't. It depends on what's coming out. If it's a slower news week, I won't. It's kind of like my day to recover. But continue to tune to my channel. I really do appreciate it. And make sure to tune in to my channel during E3, as I will be streaming the event starting on June 10th with that first Summer Games Fest live show, and then all the way through, I guess, till June 15th, whenever the last event is. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in again. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, I will catch you throughout the week in my videos and next week on the Plumecast.